And we are back once again. It is great to be back. And we are focusing on the driver of the 42 machine once more. Last time out, it was Sonoma. And it was a great race dominated by one driver in particular. And that one driver was Roberto Ramirez. And an incredible performance put up by the driver of the 42 machine overall. Looking to get it done once again here tonight. The 42 is an absolutely. Will we see another dominating performance? We hope. We see something great out of the driver of the 42 machine. A lot of bad luck to start the year, but domination is going to be an awful challenge for any driver. Whether or not anyone is able to handle it, we will find out in due time, as the driver of the 42 machine was on the top of the charts when we started this stream. However, as it stands, Roberto Ramirez has been done up once by the driver of the 27 machine, and Adam Bozzi in the 27 machine is on top by 25 one-thousandths of a second. And it's going to be showtime from Bristol in just a moment's time. We're going to have a 5-minute qualifying segment, and then we will get into our night's showing. It's going to be not just one race, it's going to be multiple races of action here tonight. Heat races and the main race. And when we get through all of that, we're going to crown ourselves one victor in the main race and see whether or not these guys are able to get it done in its entirety. We'll find out. There can only be one winner at the end of the day. It's going to be 2 heats and a last chance qualifier before we get to the 100 lap main event. And while it might sound big, that's only a 25-mile distance. So we're going to have an awful lot of racing before we get to that one. How about that? It's going to be a great one. And my apologies, it's actually going to be extended by 40 laps. That's going to be a 140 lap main event. But nonetheless, an incredibly short distance for every single one of these drivers to travel. That's only going to be 35 miles of racing in the main event. The lap count might just be a little bit of, shall we say, distraction for the fact that it's going to be a lot of racing in the consolation and the main event. So some of these drivers have the potential to go upwards of 100 miles at Bristol before we see them as the victor. Whether or not we see that, it will be very unlikely, but it is still possible. How about Alan Kunman right now? He is third on the charts with Scott Zellner just beside him in the 2 machine, and Scott Wheeler Jr. not far in front on the racetrack. Scott Wheeler having a fairy tale season right now. He has not stepped out of the top 5 every single race. This is the halfway point of the season. And it's going to be showtime once again for the driver of the 97. He has been putting on a show every week, week in, week out. And whether or not he's able to survive here with enough points and making it to the main race is the end goal if you just want to keep the championship lead. But we know Scott Wheeler is going for more than that. He's going for that victory every single time of asking. But if he gets in a predicament where he's in a shock elimination situation, it's going to cost him an awful lot of points as the night goes on, and that might jeopardize his points lead. Kendall Kerr right now, who is second in the points hunt, is 5th on the charts, and Alan Kunman, looking for a rebound, is 3rd, running alongside the all-time most successful driver in the Highline Racing League's history. And as a result, it's going to be a very, very intense night for the championship hunt, even if it seems that Scott Wheeler is having a walkaway here. This could be the one race that mixes the championship up in its entirety. It's not like every other race. Every other race, so long as you enter, you are qualified to go the entire distance. But for some of these guys, it just looks like it won't play out at day's end. We will see some guys eliminated, and we will see some guys who are absolutely non-factors by the times the heat conclude. We'll find out who's going to be in what predicament as the race goes on. And that's going to be Scott Wheeler shooting himself into the wall there. Adam Bozzi still leading the way over the remainder of the field. Chad Winstead in 4th on the charts, looking for that first victory on the season. Chad Winstead is a lot of strong runs, not able to capitalize at the tail end. And unfortunately, due to that, we have not seen much out of that 10 car, but we know there's a lot of pace. Here's how it's going to work out as the night goes on. It will be 2 heats, 40 laps, where the top 8 of each round qualify in both, and a consolation 30-lap last chance qualifier, allowing up to 20 drivers to qualify for tonight's event. That's going to leave us with 4 drivers going home. Out of the 24 drivers who have showed up for tonight's event, the top 20 will compete in the 140 lap final showdown. It's going to be a collection of, in its entirety, 250 laps around the last great coliseum, and we'll see who has the pace to determine the victory, as the 31 machine are going to go on the inside, the rival machinery of Dylan Petit. Roberto Ramirez, who I believe is part of the rival house here in the teammates factors, is not on the racetrack just yet. There's very similar paint schemes for the 31 and 42 week in, week out. We'll find out whether or not they are running the paint scheme, but I believe they are when Roberto Ramirez gets back out on track. Alan Kuhlman now going to usurp Roberto Ramirez. He is now in second on the charts, and the Columbia Chevy Camaro back to the original colors that started the season on the side of the 8 machine. As November is underway, first race of the month for Alan Kuhlman and the remainder of the Highline Racing League group. 37 seconds remain to see who's going to be able to set the fastest lap. Alan Kuhlman 9 1/1000ths of a second away from the fastest lap in practice. Perhaps there is just enough time to set the best lap. Maybe there is not, but Alan Kuhlman has set 93 laps beforehand. Adam Bazzi has set now 100 laps in motion. He'll have time to complete this 100th lap, as Alan Kuhlman just set a 25-second flat lap. This is the last chance. Let's find out what he has. A rip in the high line now goes down to the bottom, and grooves are going to play into the equation here, and we'll talk about that more as qualifying gets underway. Kuhlman gets to the stripe. He was 2 100ths of a second off of his best lap. No dice, and his 95th lap won't be completed. Adam Bazzi leads him through in practice, and that's going to end practice. On to qualifying. Who's going to get that coveted pole position? Let's find out. It's going to be an incredible race to the line here. And let's see who's going to start the show here. As it looks like Dylan Boddy is on the track right now, sponsor of tonight's event. The rival number 26 machine, part of Trap House Racing, on its way. You can see the mixed cameras are going to give us a very wide shot, but how about we get a close-up on a driver who we have not focused on just yet in the night. It looks like Ty Smith on his way with the 18 machine with the Black Rifle Coffee sponsorship on the Toyota Camry there, and he's going to go to the high line and back down to the low. Might just be the first driver to complete his lap, and it looks like that honor is actually going to go to the 29 machine of Brad Kress. A lap over, and that is going to put him up to now no time. It looks like it wasn't counted there. Roberto Ramirez, top of the charts thus far in the Ally machine, not the rival machine, as Scott Zellner is going to go to the top of the charts in the freaky fast number 2. Garrett Stenor in second. Terry Brooks is in third, and Roberto Ramirez usurps Zellner. He's back up into first, and Ramirez is riding the momentum high and might be able to make a late season charge. Caleb Morrissey up into 7th position. Terry Brooks is into 7th, now usurping the Caleb Morrissey machine. Roberto Ramirez on top of the charts, and it looks like it's going to be Brandon Wenchard going up next in the DuPont 24 machine. Terry Brooks is now on his way. Clint Spillman in third right now, the rookie looking to make something happen for Swamp Motorsports. The Halloween-inspired design, just a few days late, but it looks great nonetheless. And coming out of turn 4, looks like the best that can be offered from the 4 machine is position number 3. Colton Gardner on his way as well, and that's going to lock him into the top 10, or is it? He's just a few hundredths of a second off. That's not going to work out for him. Matthew Rodriguez moves up into 14th. He's still got 1 lap to go for the rival number 57 machine. Blackout paint scheme for the driver of that 57, and Rodriguez will send it all the way up in to the 14th spot. No improvement for Rodriguez. Jacob Holm on his way. Chad Winstead on his way. Kendall Kerr, new top of the charts. We have a new pole sitter in Kendall Kerr. And Scott Wheeler has not appeared to gone out yet. We have a load of drivers who are still on their way. Chad Winstead, one of them. Jason Harris and the iRacing Justin Allgaier-esque machinery on his way. Looks like no time has counted. He's already gotten through 4 laps. He's going to be riding shotgun on the field. And it's going to be Ty Smith moving up into 15th. Dylan Boddy in 13th. Chad Winstead with 1 lap left, already in 5th. Can he gain those coveted 4 spots to get up to the pole position? Looks like, yes he will. New pole position sitter, it's Chad Winstead with 2 minutes remaining in qualifying. James McKee with SP Designs on the hood. He's going to be rounding the turns one last time. Adam Bozzi's going to take the new top spot, and it looks like McKee's not going to go for it that time by Bozzi, your new provisional pole sitter, and looks like we might have another one, and yes we do. Alan Kunman takes the top spot with a 14.656, 14 one-thousandths of a second over Adam Bozzi. We have yet another change in rotation, and one driver remains to qualify. That man is Scott Wheeler Jr. And we'll see whether or not Scott Wheeler is going to do so. Because it appears everyone except for him and Jason Harris will have a time. No one else currently going to be without time scored in qualifying. 1 minute remains. It is Alan Kunman, top of the charts. Two drivers still on track. Chad Winstead as well. But Adam Bozzi still slowly but surely looping around the racetrack. Going to come down on the pit road right now and take his first pit stop of the night. Of course, it's going to be virtual, not only in the sense that it is simulated racing, but also in the fact that he is not under green flag condition, and we might see some green flag pit stops tonight. Bristol, very short track. We will find out later as the night goes on. Backing it down into pit road, Alan Kunman taking a lap in the interior of Bristol Motor Speedway. He will be your provisional pole sitter, as it looks like Jason Harris and Scott Wheeler are not coming out onto track. That is going to conclude qualifying, and that is going to list out your drivers. Let's get to the starting grid in just a few seconds time, but to start off tonight's event, you're going to see your first heat in motion, and it's going to be led off by the driver of the 8 machine in Alan Kunman. Let's get to the heat racing here from Bristol. And let's get cut right to it. Let's find out your starting grid for tonight's event. The first heat of the night, Alan Kunman is going to be on pole position. And it's going to be every other driver rounding out this field. A 40-lap ordeal led by the 8 machine. And let's find out. It looks like we're actually going to get our total numerical values, including every driver who's qualified. So let's go through that before we get to the heat starting grid. Alan Kunman and Adam Bozzi are going to be your fastest qualifiers, with then, just after, the driver of the 42 machine in Roberto Ramirez on actually the third row, with Chad Winstead and Kendall Kerr in third and fourth. Then we're going to have Roberto Ramirez and Austin Bloom in 5th and 6th, Clint Spillman 7th and 8th, and then Scott Zellner 9th and 10th, Brad Crest to round out that top 10. Following that, it's going to be Garrett Sidnor, and then it's going to be Brandon Wenjard 11th and 12th, Terry Brooks in 13th, Caleb Morrissey in 14th, Jacob Hamm in 15th, Dylan Petit in 16th, Kenny Brooks in 17th, and Dylan Body in 18th, with Colton Gardner and Ty Smith 19th and 20th on time. Matthew Rodriguez 20th and Dalton Beer 22nd. As Matthew Rodriguez is going to be put down to 21st as we speak. And finally, the final 2 drivers in the session, Scott Wheeler and Jason Harris, have not qualified, but they are here to race, and that's what they will do. Only just about half of these guys are going to be in the first heat. Let's find out who's got what it takes to win the first event of the night. Alan Kunman going to be leading the way to the first heat green flag, and Scott Wheeler going to be in 12th position right now, looking to go from last to first in this heat. If he's able to do so, we'd be very impressive. We'll find out if he has what it takes to do just that. And racing beginning at 9:48 Eastern Seaboard time tonight. The Baadteshop Night Race at Bristol, starting off with a heat race before we get to the show. Sponsored, of course, by SP Designs in Asheville, North Carolina. We thank them for their support dearly in this series. It means the world to have all of the backing by some incredible talent in the graphic design scene. And Alan Kunman going to do them proud with that beautiful Columbia 8 machine.
Green flag,
Green flag is out for the first time in Bristol, and Chad Winstead gets the advantage off the jump. Kunman, though, going to get it through the first 2 turns, leading him through 40 laps. Let's see who's got what it takes to win this one here in Bristol, the last great coliseum, and it's a great advantage for Alan Kunman. Roberto Ramirez side by side with Clint Spillman right now, and Scott Zellner on his way in that 5th spot. Garrett Sidnor just behind it. Jacob Brooks is now in the 8th spot. And they are skating around Bristol right now. It's a half-mile track. It feels like an infinite amount of speed for such a short area. 14-second lap there for Goodman. He's setting down qualifying laps. He's got the pace to do just that. 3 laps in, and it looks like Scott Wheeler not able to make up any ground just yet. Although timing scoring is incorrect, he's actually gained 3 spots in the top 8 advance. He's going to have to put some work on the driver, the 23, and Terry Brooks. He wants to make it through. Gets through first time by. That's going to be the first pass to put him in the transfer spot. If Terry Brooks can do anything about it, he's got to do it quick because Scott Wheeler is a machine in these cars. He's going to move away from you as quick as ever. The 97 machine working out just great in this race thus far. He's going to be able to pass Garrett Sidnor on the inside line with just about a lap's work. If he's able to keep it there, it's a difference to catch a driver than it is to pass him. And looks like right now, Scott Wheeler has the momentum to make a pass. He's going to be just about a bumper's worth of an advantage that time by on the inside line. And Garrett Sidnor is not going to be able to make it happen. He's going to be caught up there by Jacob Hahn as Alan Koopman leads by 4/10 of a second. Looks like we got contact there. Multiple cars involved. It's going to be a first caution of the night, I believe. It's going to have to be, as we have 5 cars involved and nothing has happened just yet. No stopping. It looks like the race is still underway in spite of that incident. How about that? Multiple cars involved, but they're still racing for that position. Let's get an instant replay on the matter and see what happened. Scott Wheeler trying to make an aggressive move around. Wheeler not in the transfer spot now. That's going to set him up for a very bad situation, as this is when he's going to dive into that inside line. Now we're going to send it down to a half-speed replay and show you what just happened. Jacob Hom in front. Scott Zellner is as well. Hom is now 3 laps down. Rodriguez 2 laps down. And Wheeler is currently 10 seconds behind. This is going to be the biggest beneficiary. Terry Brooks, he's up to 6th. So it looks like he's going to be locked into the main race. As a result, Wheeler comes up on Garrett Sidnor. And this is the first incident of the night. No other has occurred just yet. And Sidnor gets blocked by Jacob Hom just a bit. Compromises the line. And this shakes everything up. Sidnor going to go down to the inside line. Wheeler going to make a monster move. Jacob Hom gets squirrely. And Netco is going to contact Hom with Wheeler. And they both get involved. Multiple car incident. Matthew Rodriguez tagged in that one. And Wheeler able to get back on his way. The 54 machine to Kenny Brooks gets out of it. Wheeler keeps it straight. And they all go from here. How about that for every one of these guys? Alan Koopman leading. Chad Winstead in second. Jacob Hom on pit road once again. Looks like his night in this heat is done. He's going to be sent to the last chance consolation with Koopman riding as quick as ever. And with Alan Koopman leading the way to the remainder of the field, he is 15 laps through on a dominating heat race victory. If he's able to get into the heat race is not what matters. It is that main event. And Chad Winstead has to be taking some notes right now, see what he can do to be better. As Scott Zellner on the case of Roberto Ramirez. As Ramirez appears to be just a bit behind him right now. According to timing and scoring, as Zellner was able to make the move on Ramirez. And there we go. Watching as Clint Spillman and Terry Brooks are working on one another now, with Chad Winstead 0.6 of a second behind your race leader of Alan Koopman. And Garrett Sidnor still fighting with a few drivers here. He's going to get by Kenny Brooks, who got past that wreck. But Sidnor on his way. It actually appears to be that Sidnor's damage was not crucial. And Scott Wheeler on his way as well. Matthew Rodriguez is a torn up machine. Scott Wheeler gets a little bit of damage. You can see it. But he's in 10th right now. If there is one more incident, that will certainly put him into the race, as long as it's a multi-car incident. His day is not over in this first heat. We're going to get on to our second heat in just a moment's time. This race is moving quickly, and Alan Kunman is dominating it. So watch out, because he might just have this pace for the entire race. We'll see whether or not he's able to keep it up, because he is 21 laps through the dominator of this first heat. Nobody can compare to the driver of that 8 machine, Chad Winstead. Not even close. He's 0.6 of a second back consistently. And Scott Zellner, don't even think about it right now. He's in third, with Roberto Ramirez in position number 4. Your top 5 rounded out by Clint Spillman as we speak. And the driver of that 4 machine fighting with Terry Brooks, hard as ever. Almost side by side for a moment, but now they are single file, 22 laps out of 40. And we've got several races lined up for this event. And Kunman dominating this one. Roberto Ramirez getting up to Scott Zellner once again. Looks like multi-group action coming into play. And it's the first time we've seen the next gens on Bristol virtually. We saw them first time physically at Bristol this year. And the high line and low line were both used in tandem. And Kendall Kerr, last year the victor, not on the track right now. But Adam Bozzi, who is also not on the track right now, were both favorites that time by. And they're looking to get themselves into the main race. And with these next gens, it's a learning curve once again. But halfway through the season, some guys are used to it, some guys are not. It's going to be a hard task, especially at Bristol, when you have no time to decide whether or not you're going to involve yourself in an incident. If something happens in front of you, it's a self-cleaning track. It'll go down your way, even if you try to avoid it on the inside line. You've got to be a quick decision maker if you want to avoid a wreck at Bristol. And even then, you got to be the quickest of the quick to even have a chance. Alan Kunman leading the way over Chad Winstead right now. 27 laps through out of 40 in this first heat. We're far from done. Then we'll have our second heat, our consolation, and finally, we will have our main event. So stick around. We've got a lot of racing planned, and it's going to be led off by this first heat, dominated by Alan Kunman. Side by side, it looks like Kenny Brooks is going to go side by side there. And Brooks going to be put 1 lap down. Scott Wheeler a lap down as well. Colton Gardner, the last car on the lead lap, will be locked into the main event so long as he stays in the position he is in. And he appears to be the slowest driver on the racetrack at the moment, with the exception of Scott Wheeler and Kenny Brooks. Kenny Brooks now running a sub-17 second lap, barely. This time by actually was 12 thousandths over the 17 second mark. And as a result, going to put Alan Kunman in the position to lap yet another driver. Colton Gardner pretty far out front compared to Scott Wheeler. But Alan Kunman, he is in the territory to catch the driver of that 40 machine in just a moment's time. Let's watch the rear view camera and see what's going on for the driver of the 40. And while it's not detrimental to be caught by the leader in the heat race, you just want to make it to the show here. It will be detrimental to see whether or not your pace is that big of a deficit compared to Alan Kunman, who's going to go by with ease there. And watching on board, look at him go. Alan's going to soar by. And lap traffic will play a factor in a track as small as Bristol. Only took 32 laps to catch up to the 8th place driver. And that is an impressive mark for Alan Kunman to be reaching. There's 33 laps in. It's Scott Zellner in the 4th spot and Clint Spillman in 5th. Harry Brooks in 6th, Garrett Sinor in 7th, and Colton Gardner holds that last transfer spot by 6 seconds over Scott Wheeler. Looks to be an insurmountable deficit with the exception of a perhaps an incident. And Scott Zellner lets Clint Spillman by. It's not the main race. He just want to make it to the main event. So he's going to let him go for now, and let's see whether or not he tries to claw back with the final few laps. Clawing back in a heat race, always a risk. You just want to make it to the show immediately. But Alan Kunman has the pace to dominate, and it is clear. His best lap was a 14.787. Right now he's winning 16.136s. So tires, a major factor with these next gens, and it looks like it's paying off once again. Keep it to the limit, running that high line through the turns, and it looks like a higher line overall compared to qualifying. Running the second groove at the absolute lowest, lap 36 of 40. And it looks to be said and done there for Alan Kunman. Scott Zellner in 5th right now. Pretty far from Terry Brooks, but Brooks is chasing as Roberto Ramirez is going to go side by side with Chad Winstead, and Winstead looking to get passed by the 42 machine. He's also looking to defend as they're side by side and on the inside line. It will be Winstead, not in the wall, but they're still dead even. Ramirez in 2nd, but it is Alan Kunman leading the way. Winstead side by side nonetheless. A dominating performance in this first heat, and he's putting the moves in motion, of course, and he is setting the pace tonight. Alan Goodman he's got one more driver to lap. It's going to be Kenny Brooks once again. White flag is out for the first race of the night, and we will get to our second heat in just a moment. But wow, what a performance from Alan Goodman in this first heat. Nobody was on his level, and he's going to get it done, taking the victory in this first heat. Pole position certified for Alan Goodman. Ramirez gets second, Winstead gets third, Clint Spillman fourth in the 4-car, Terry Brooks fifth, got Zellner in sixth, and Garrett Sidnor is in seventh. Colton Gardner in the 8th position, final driver to transfer. It's time for your second heat. The second heat gonna have a much different starting lineup, and as we speak, we do have our second heat loading up. We're trying to get an interview nonetheless from the drivers from your first heat. Adam Bozzi gonna lead the way in heat number 2. How about that for the driver of the 27 machine? But we're going to try to get an interview from the driver who was able to get the victory here in your first heat, and we're going to be moving him over as we speak. Alan Goodman getting it done, dominating fashion. You're going to be pole position following that victory in the first heat. How are you feeling watching this second heat, and of course getting some time to prepare for what's left in the main event?
Yeah, pretty good. I feel like I got a pretty solid car. I knew I had something good for the heat race. Anything in the main, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. I really don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely setting the pace thus far, and it looks like it was a dominating performance there. How hard were you going at the tail end of it? Were you full aggression all the time, or did you back it down at the tail end just trying to get to the main event?
Oh, no. I ran about the same pace all race, even right there in the last 10 laps or so. I ran the same that I had been all race long.
Well, absolutely. You were the fastest driver the whole way around on lap traffic and tire wear. They both appear to be playing a factor. You think they'll be exacerbated, so to speak, when it comes to the remainder of the race and, of course, in the main event?
Yeah, when we get to the main, lap traffic is definitely going to come into play, especially if we get a super long run. Tire wear is going to be really dreadful also. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it though.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts before we get to the second heat?
Just good luck to everybody here in heat 2 and the LCQ, and we'll see everybody in the A main.
Absolutely. Alan Goodman winning the first heat of the night. Thank you for your time. And we're going to drag him back to his team in Blacktop Racing. And now we're going to see who's going to be able to get this victory in the second heat. Very short races, 40 laps of action at the quarter-mile racetrack. So that's going to be just about 10 miles of action here in this second heat. Let's get back at it.
Green flag,
Let's see who's going to get it done in heat number 2. Green flag for Adam Bozzi and Kendall Kerr. They're going to be dead even that time by. It might just be a race to the victory once again. These two fighting for great spots in the championship placement. Let's see what they got. Kendall Kerr looking to the high side now. It looks to be a race for the first time in this heat. And let's ride on board with Kendall Kerr. You can see Adam Bozzi getting it off exit. That is his advantage. A major lunge on entry every single time from Kendall Kerr. And Bozzi's going to wiggle big time. Adam Bozzi's going to go to 5th, 6th. He's under the transfer spot from first to last. Bozzi is. And that's going to put him in a very bad position early on for the driver of the 27 machine. He's just going to have to recover. And it's going to be a hard task as he just gets a bit squirrely off of exit. Keeps it out of the wall, and that is very important. Gets a bit of a tap. But he's going to be on his way once again. That's going to put the driver of Dylan Body in your transfer spot for just a moment. As wow. Dalton Beer now in your transfer spot. Bozzi has to claw them all down. He's got to get all the way up to Dalton Beer. And he looks to be just about on the pace, if not a bit slower. Last time by, Adam Bozzi ran a 14.980. Looks to actually be now 3/10 faster as we have another incident. Jason Harris and Dylan Body. They're both getting involved in one another, and Adam Bozzi hits Jason Harris. Desperation. And those two wreck right in front of the eyes of the viewers there in the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Bozzy's night is done in this heat. Jason Harris's night is done. They're all going to be sent to the last chance qualifier. How about that? And let's try to get a replay on that one because that's a major incident and that's going to change how this race goes in its entirety. Bozzy hits Jason Harris and Dylan Labate gets out of it while Adam Bozzy is not able to do so. They both tow. And now Dylan Labate 2 laps down. It's going to be between Ty Smith and Caleb Morrissey for the transfer spot. Morrissey pulling away for now 9 laps in, now 10 laps in to this 40-lap showdown. Kendall Kerr leading over James McKee. Brad Kress in the 3rd spot right now with Austin Bloom in 4th and Brandon Wenger rounding out your top 5. Dylan Petit in 6th with Dalton Beer in 7th. And your top 7 clear and away for the drivers in the back of the field. My apologies there, as it's a 4-second deficit from the lead to Caleb Morrissey in 8th, as Morrissey seems to be shaking Ty Smith. The last chance qualifier field is being set as we speak. It's going to be 8 drivers fighting for 4 spots. And let's see which of those drivers is the ones that they're going to be able to make it back to the main pack. It's going to be fun to see who has the potential to get back into this one. If you do enjoy the presentation, be sure to like and subscribe. We are just getting started here tonight. Lap 14 of 40 in your second heat of this race. And it's 10:05 on the East Coast. We passed 10 by the time that the green flag came out for this race. And Kendall Kerr putting on a dominating performance thus far. James McKee in 2nd, Brad Kress in 3rd. And Kendall Kerr looking to line up on the outside line of the front row if this performance sticks. James McKee in 2nd. Now going to have to fight with Brad Kress. It looks like Kress is just close enough to perhaps make a charge at the driver of the 9 machine. We'll see whether or not he's able to do so in reality. It's going to take a lot from him. How about that? Dylan Petit in 5th, Brandon Wenger in 6th, side by side. Petit's going to get it that time by over Wenger. And Kerr in 1st with James McKee in 2nd. Once again, 17 laps through out of 40. And the closest battle on the racetrack appears to be with Brandon Wenger and Dylan Petit as it stands. As they continue to roll, Kendall Kerr watching and awaiting to get to the checkered flag in this first heat for him. Of course, it's first race for him, the second heat overall. We'll see whether or not they're able to get it done in the front of the field. Caleb Morrissey going to make it over Brandon Wenger right now, and Dalton Beer going to have new competition. And Ty Smith slowly but surely fading back. Brandon Wenger fading back just a bit quicker, a few tenths off the pace now. How about it? And it continues to be a frustrating ordeal. Dalton Beer's going to get right into Brandon Wenger. And you can see frustration boiling over as Dalton Beer sends it hard into the turn there. Ty Smith looking for something himself. 9th on track, but gaining some time on both of these guys might be enough to make himself a contender for that final transfer. And how about we go on board with the driver of that 18 machine? Watching on board with the 18 machine, not the 99 machine. Not sure what's going on. That is not the 99, not even on timing and scoring behalf. But Ty Smith, nonetheless, is on his way. And the 18 machine fighting as hard as ever to make something happen. And you can see getting closer and closer each time by. Dylan Petit, Caleb Morrissey going to make a pass. Morrissey going into the 5th spot. But Ty Smith is now 1.4 seconds away from getting into the battle for the transfer position. Gets in the wall just a bit. Not going to be all too detrimental, but the rear end camera for Dalton Beer shows that Brandon Wenger is right there on him. And this race between these two is far from over. Running at just about an even pace right now. No double file action. They're going to be losing Ty Smith a big time. And it looks like this might be the top 8 settled, so long as we do not have another incident, but it ain't over till it's over, so we're going to find out whether or not we see another incident. As the fan camera in effect right there, Brad Crest going to be passed by Austin Bloom, going for 3rd position, and that's going to round out your podium places now, as James McKee is still in 2nd, but gaining on Kendall Kerr. It looks like Kendall Kerr losing a lot of time lap over lap. We just might have a battle for the outside pole position. Let's see what James McKee has in store. Going up to the high line. Ben going to go down to the low once more. Kendall Kerr watching and waiting. And using every single piece of the track James McKee is. Now he's just within 0.15 of a second of his teammate. And the 2 Blacktop Racing teammates out in front, 1st and 2nd, down to the inside line. James McKee goes. It's going to be Kendall Kerr's time to defend. Let's see what he's got. And now, coming up at lap traffic, it looks to be the driver of the 26 machine, or no, it actually appears to be Ty Smith in 9th. 9th position getting lapped. It looks like the battle for 8th is going to get lapped soon as well. We'll find out whether or not that impacts the leaders at all, because James McKee and Kendall Kerr are running the high line effectively, almost no competition. It looks like they're sailing out there, lap 32 of 40. And for Kendall Kerr, this means an awful lot in the point standings. It means a lot for Alan Kunman as well, chipping away at the advantage that Scott Wheeler has. Scott Wheeler, of course, being sent to the last place consolation race. And he might be one of the 4 drivers sent home early. It would be detrimental if he is, taking his momentum right away from him. And it will give a driver like Kendall Kerr or Alan Kunman the opportunity to gain some points back. Much needed points due to the dominating start of the season that has been had by the driver of that 96 machine, or rather the 94 machine, as we're going to see the 24 is going to get past Ty Smith, already lapped. Dylan Body on pit road, but Jason Harris is as well. Not many drivers left on the track, as Dalton Beer is going to be passed there by the leaders. He is in 7th right now on track. Dylan PT going to be the next one up. Let's see whether or not Kendall Kerr can get to him. It's going to be a hard task with now just under 5 laps to go, 5 complete laps to go. Looks like it won't be possible, but Kerr and McKee are going to still fight for the victory. Out of Asheville, North Carolina, SB Designs is the sponsor for the driver of the 9 machine. And if you're watching on Stadium Scene TV, we thank you for the support. We hope you enjoyed the presentation there as much as you do on the Fireball Talks NASCAR YouTube channel. We are far from done here. We still got 2 races left, and it's the last place consolation, the last chance constellation, of course. And of course, again, it's the main race, and that's the one you don't want to miss. That's 140 laps of action. 40 laps through almost. Kendall Kerr is going to make a gap once again on James McKee and might be able to settle the score overall. Kendall Kerr looking to get it done with 2 laps to go here in the 2nd heat. And the Body Shop Night Race. Its 2 heats will be decided here and now. And coming across the start-finish line, it is 1 lap to go. The next flag ends it, and the next flag will be a checkered flag because we won't have any caution. Now, dominating performance once again by the Blacktop Racing drivers. And this time, Kendall Kerr is the one who takes the cake. He will be your winner in the 2nd heat, and he's going to be running out the outside pole position. Your front row set, it's Kunman and Kerr. And everyone backs it down. Session concluded. Time to get to the next one. And Alan Kunman and Kendall Kerr, teammates, are going to be rounding out your front row. Time for your starting grid in the last chance qualifier. And as it stands, we're going to try to get an interview with the driver of the 21 machine in Kendall Kerr. And he was able to get it done in the 2nd heat, much like his teammates. And Kendall Kerr getting it done as your teammate Alan Kunman did. How you feeling rounding out the outside pole position going into the main event?
Feeling pretty good. Happy to be back on the ovals here this week. Bristol is actually the site of my first win in this series, so it gave me a little bit of confidence here, and really all 4 Blacktop Racing cars should be pretty fast when it comes to the main.
Absolutely looks to be that they all are right now. How are you feeling about the main in terms of strategy? We're seeing lap cars and tire wear playing a factor.
Pretty good. I mean, the tires felt like they were about shot there at the end of those 40 laps. I think we're doing 140 in the main. It'll be 20 cars, so we might get maybe one run that long, but I'm sure we'll be behind the pace car quite a bit, and it's probably going to come down to making the pit stop at the right time and track position, and really the choose cone too.
Absolutely, the choose cone going to be in effect when we do have cautions. And what do you think the preferred groove is after 40 or now 30 laps of action for these last chance guys?
You know, I am a top dweller to begin with, so I love running the top. But in these next-gen cars, I feel like you can really run wherever you want. They've got a lot of maneuverability with the brake bias, and you can run middle, bottom, or top, all pretty even. So it really allows the drivers to race the track how they want to race it. Should be a good show.
Absolutely hoping for a good show as well. We're going to get this last chance qualifier underway. Kendall Kerr outside pole position here tonight, looking for one more in the main race. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And there we have it. We're going to drag the driver of the 21 machine down to his voice chat right now as the qualifier event is going to get on its way. Scott Wheeler going to watch as Ty Smith gets the jump on him. And here we go. It's going to be led by the 97 machine and the 18 just behind him. Dylan Body and Matthew Rodriguez. They're double file right now. Best drivers are going to be the ones who get through. 4 drivers to settle it. Matthew Rodriguez currently with a transfer spot. Scott Wheeler leading the way. Ty Smith contact with Kenny Brooks. That's not good at all. But Scott Wheeler's got the dominating advantage so far. Wide angle in effect. You can see almost the entirety of the field. And how about we send it to the ultra wide shot TV3. Every fan is on their feet. Kenny Brooks around. That's going to be the first driver who's effectively out of this one. That's going to be his night basically. And it looks like he's not going to putter around much longer. Very slow right now for the driver of the 54 machine. No sign of a further acceleration for the 54. Scott Wheeler on his way. May we see revenge? We're going to find out because Kenny Brooks is going awfully slowly. And there he goes into pit road. No counteraction. And Ty Smith still in second. Rodriguez in third. Adam Bozzi in fourth. And Dylan Body taking that position away Adam Bozzi has from Dylan Body. Rodriguez in the third spot. 5 laps throughout of 30. Big wiggle there for Matthew Rodriguez to hold on to it with Adam Bozzi pushing. And Dylan Body watching and waiting in the 5th spot. Right on board with the driver of the 26 machine. Jacob Hahn getting passed by Jason Harris there. That's for 6th. Getting closer and closer to that transfer spot, those two are. An impressive job by every one of these guys, and how about it for every driver still in this. Kenny Brooks going to be lapped once again. Still on the inside line there. Fighting as hard as he can to keep the car on track. As Adam Bozzi and Dylan Body fight for that 4th position. Side by side once more, the 27 going to the inside of the 57 to Rodriguez. And these two are going to fight until the race is over here in this last chance qualifier. It's a 30-lap dash, so as long as you can keep it on the road here, you got a great shot. Of course, you just got to have to keep the pace up. Scott Wheeler far and away showing the best pace right now in this qualifier, but don't count out Ty Smith. He's only about a half second back. Ozzy, Rodriguez, and then it's going to be Dylan Body of Baadteshop, who's at risk of not making his own sponsored race. We'll see whether or not he's able to keep it together, because he's now just about 0.2 of a second away from making it happen. Matthew Rodriguez has a lot of pressure on him right now. He's got Adam Bozzi in front, who he could get some contact with. We've seen Bozzi get a little squirrely, but of course we've seen some drivers such as Dylan Body getting incidents as well. And that's the reason they're all here, incidents. None of them are out on a lack of pace. They were all involved and were at least 1 lap down to the tail end of their heats. And almost halfway through, Scott Wheeler putting together a great performance thus far, as we are going to head to the 140-lap main shortly. We've already ran 110 laps in the span of about 20 minutes. Going to be a very quick race at that pace. And Adam Bozzi Now going to get by Ty Smith. This could be the point where Ty Smith falls off the radar. He doesn't want to do that as he has Matthew Rodriguez pressuring him for third. "16 laps out of 30. Matthew Rodriguez on the inside line there. As you can see, now Jason Harris and Dillabati fighting for fifth. They are separated big time for the driver of the 57 machine. Any contact up front in the top four will be detrimental. And surely not a bright move by any of these guys to make some contact. Just got to play it nice and smooth here. And if they don't, it's going to be a big, big issue. Scott Wheeler, first out of all of these guys in the last chance qualifier. Adam Bozzi, though, chasing him down hard. These two have some great pace. Rodriguez and Ty Smith now in fourth, falling to the clutches perhaps of Jason Harris. Going to take a lot to keep that car together. We can see that Ty Smith is losing some control. Whether or not we can see it from the outside perspective, yes we can. We can see he's wiggling just a bit. And it's going to be now 12 laps. It's going to be 11 laps to go in just a moment's time to decide this race. And 20 out of 30. The 18 machine of Ty Smith having a great run so far. Matthew Rodriguez as well. But Jason Harris now fighting with Jacob Halm. As we see that Ty Smith losing a lot of ground here. It is make or break for Smith. Keep his car together. He's losing an awful lot of pace. He's the slowest driver on the track by about a half a second a lap. Jacob Halm coming in. And Halm trying to make the pass with ease. He's going to go out on the inside line. He's going to compromise his momentum. Going to have to rethink it. And the ticker having a little bit of an error, trying to process the fact that we do not have enough drivers when it comes to those who are qualified for the main event compared to those that are in the heats. Now it's going to be Jacob Halm in the fourth spot. And now Ty Smith is going to turn on the Jets. They're side by side, 23 and 30. This is for the transfer spot. Looks like Ty Smith gave it all he had, and that's all that he's got. Smith in the wall. He's going to have to send it to the wall if he wants to make anything happen, and that's not going to work out. Adam Bozzi, new race leader. Ty Smith falling out of favor. He's parked it. He's done for the night. Bozzi, Wheeler, Rodriguez. Their top three. Jacob Halm, the last driver in, and Jason Harris, the first man out. It's going to take a Hail Mary for Harris to get in from this point. As Adam Bozzi has methodically worked his way up, and he is now your last chance qualification leader. And let's find out whether or not he's able to hold on. Lap 27 now of 30. And Bozzi and Wheeler putting on a show. Look at that. Down to the inside line, Wheeler goes. It looks like it's not going to work. He's just going to have to settle for the position he's in. They're going to be the final four drivers on the field. 28 out of 30. Outside to the inside, and inside to the out. Now, but it's going to be 2 laps to go for Scott Wheeler and Adam Bozzi. And only so much time to find out whether these guys have anything left. Lucas Bulldog 7 saying it's a battle for lead, and yes, indeed it is. And Bozzi going to get cut off there. Last lap of the qualifier. Is Scott Wheeler going to go all the way to the limit with only a lap left? Let's find out. Goes down for the lunge, but it looks like he's going to make it work. Side by side for the line. It looks like it's just going to barely be Adam Bozzi by 21 thousandths of a second. We get our first photo finish of the night. And Wheeler went 110% on that one. And that ends your last chance qualifier. And it goes in the favor of Adam Bozzi. Great job there for the driver of that 27 machine. And Scott Wheeler absolutely gave it his all. And that's a respectable decision. How about it? Your final 4 drivers are as follows. Adam Bozzi, Scott Wheeler, Matthew Rodriguez, and Jacob Halm. Those are the guys that are going to lead off your field here tonight. Your pole position is going to be held by the Blacktop Racing driver of Alan Kuhlman, who is not yet on the field. here at Bristol Motor Speedway. When he is, we will get to your starting grid procedure. Kunman leading the way for the first time tonight, or rather the second as a matter of fact, and let's get into it. Alan Kunman is your pole position sitter with Adam Bossie beside him. It appears that this is still based on time. We're going to go without it for now and go throughout the entirety of the field. It's going to be Alan Kunman, then Kendall Kerr in second, Roberto Ramirez in third, and James McKee in fourth. Then it's going to be Chad Winstead, Austin Bloom, Clint Spillman, Brad Kress, and Caleb Morrissey in 10th. Then it's going to be Scott Zellner, Dylan Petit, Garrett Sidnor, Dalton Beer, Colton Gardner, and Brandon Wengerd in 16th. Adam Bossie, Scott Wheeler Jr., Matthew Rodriguez, riding shotgun, Jacob Hamm are the drivers that will round out your field tonight. And that's all that she wrote for the drivers that are out of this one. It is a 20-driver field. At the end of the day, qualifying has concluded in its entirety. The blacktop drivers are first, second, and fourth. Impressive from every single one of them. Let's see whether or not they're capable of capping this incredible start off in style. The Baadteshop Night Race. The sun has set in Bristol, and it is evident visually as well as the amount of grip that these guys have. Whether or not they're able to use their advantage, we will find out. As Alan Kunman ready to put on a show. Kendall Kerr in second. Roberto Ramirez, riding the momentum from Sonoma, is in the third position. 140 laps to settle this race. Only one winner. 2 heat winners, 1 main event winner. Let's get ready to rumble in Bristol, baby. Let's do it. The pace car gonna go down to the inside on pit road, and we are green for the first time in Bristol tonight in the main race. So let's get to it. Alan Kunman with the dominating start already. And as it all plays out, Kunman leads your first lap. Chad Winstead side by side with Austin Bloom, and Terry Brooks side by side with Caleb Morrissey. Colton Gardner in the 20th spot right now, riding shotgun on the field, and able to get in the first heat and try to make some spots up as this night goes on. Kunman and his teammate Kendall Kerr first, second. Then we got the third place machine of James McKee. And your top 3 all blacktop racing, having an incredible night here. And Brad Kress involved in this incredible night as well. He's in 5th now. Only one driver stopping the blacktop boys from going 1st to 4th, and it is Chad Winstead. 4 laps through out of 140, and Kendall Kerr and Alan Kunman go side by side. Kendall Kerr looks to be clearing that time by. New race leader, it is the 21 machine. And they're going to swap lines once more. It looks like it's going to be a game of swapping lines between every one of these drivers. Kendall Kerr leading the way over the remainder of the field with James McKee in third, Chad Winstead in fourth, and Brad Kress in position number 5. Now it's going to be Austin Bloom in 6th, and Roberto Ramirez facing some pressure in 6th. And Ethan Dueldi coming back once again. Thank you for stopping by back again. And we love to see it. Thank you all for stopping by in the chat. We love to hear what you have to say as Terry Brooks is side by side with Dalton Beer. Let's watch on board with the driver of that 23 machine. And with Brooks watching and waiting as it looks like it's going to be Brandon Wengerd going to his inside line. He's going to try to get past Roberto Ramirez, who's fallen back into 8th. With the fastest 20 drivers in this field, it's going to be a challenge to hold off every single one of them. Ramirez is going to have to let Wengerd go. We're running that inside line. Terry Brooks is, so it's going to be a little bit harder for him to pass Roberto Ramirez, who uses the exact same line. Big wiggle, and it's going to be saved by the driver of the 42, Roberto Ramirez. And nonetheless, Kendall Kerr is going to lead him lap 11 at 140. Dalton Beer is in the 7th spot, and he's looking good right now. 2 Oreos machines third, or rather, in the 3 machine and the 38 machine, they were up to third, but now down to the respective positions of 6 and 7 to 38, getting past the number 3. Jason McKean 5th, Brad Kress in 4th, and Chad Winstead rounding out your podium. And how about that for the driver of the 10 machine? Kendall Kerr leading the way nonetheless, and Alan Kuhlman is in 2nd. Brad Kress in position number 4, still chasing down Winstead. It's a single file affair without the majority of the field. But side by side, Scott Zellner and Clint Spillman looking to make something happen. Both drivers are. Let's see whether or not they're capable of doing just that. A lot of time to make something work for both of these guys. Let's see whether or not they're able to take advantage. Side by side, they once were Clint Spillman, Scott Zellner, now in a single file affair as well. And it's about a tenth of separation between every one of these drivers. And now it's going to be Scott Wheeler wheeling his way through the field. He's up to 12th position already from the absolute back of the field. The final 4 drivers, 15 laps through all the way. Adam Bozzi in the 7th spot right now is going to be fighting with Garrett Sidnor and Dalton Beer. The Oreo machine looks to have just bounced off the wall on your bottom of the screen, and he's still on the inside line chasing down James McKee right now. Let's watch from the rear end of James McKee and see how he's seeing this race. And backing it down once again, McKee does, but it looks like Dalton Beer's got the pace to contend with. As you can see, the rear end camera, Adam Bozzi following him through, but it looks like both of them are the ones to beat as it stands. How about that for both the 38 and the 27? The Beer and Bozzi on patrol. Going to be a lot harder for these guys to keep up with one another, as they're going to be fighting a multitude of drivers that might just be a little bit quicker than they are. Kuhlman in 2nd, Chad Winstead 3rd, and Brad Kress getting closer and closer each time by. Let's ride on board with Brad Kress and see what he's seeing from the hood camera. That time by, Winstead gets a much better exit, and you can hear a little bit of feathering of the throttle. That's not going to work out in the favor of Brad Kress, and I think he knows it. And as a result, he's going to try to do something different, but now Chad Winstead running that low line, taking away the air. Brad Kress is going to go to the high line, trying to make something happen. It doesn't happen that time by, using some shifting, going through the 3rd and 4th gears. Very short track. That's all you can do with a half-mile track, unless you run the wall and get it up to 5th gear by using the wall to shoot you through with momentum. But they don't do that here in the Highline Racing League. In fact, following the Ross Chastain incident, that was officially outlawed, as if anyone would ever do that in a league race. That's a very, very risky maneuver, let alone a very unfair maneuver to the drivers who, of course, know they can do it on the last lap, but now it looks like across the iRacing scene, it would be scorned upon. 23 laps completed out of 140 thus far. Terry Brooks, Garrett Sidnor side by side for now. And it looks like about a 40 lap run will be the distance that these tires can go. So we're going to have about 3 or 4 full length stops. It's green flags so far throughout the entirety of the field. Double file, Terry Brooks and Dalton Beer are making a great run. They both happen to be. Garrett Sidnor just behind him. And how about we take a lap with Garrett Sidnor and see what he sees? Or how about we take 2 laps, because a lap is just a bit too short. Let's get a full understanding of what's going on for the driver of the 50 machine. And as you can see, Garrett Sidnor making progress on Dalton Beer now. And it's a side-by-side battle for just a moment. As Scott Wheeler now in 11th, fighting to get into the top 10. MDLXL coming in the chat saying, let's go Morrissey. Caleb Morrissey right now fighting. He's just behind that top 10 battle in the 17th spot. And a lot of guys clustered up right now. Double file, 3 rows deep. And the Oreo boys are holding everyone off. Austin Bloom and Dalton Beer. We're going to get by there for the driver of the 38 machine. Next up, it's Austin Bloom. Let's see whether or not he's going to be able to get through the driver of the 3 machine. Terry Brooks in 7th right now, fighting with nobody. He's got clean air all around. Adam Bozzi as well. The battle for the lead has not intensified. It's Kendall Kerr leading the way over Alan Koopman, his teammate. As Brooks watches and waits. No incident, 32 laps through. The longest green flag run we've had without an incident. Of course, not the longest green flag run overall. And with Wheeler coming back into the top 10, quite the shock. But nonetheless, able to do it once more, looking for a top 5 at the very least. Clawing from all the way in the back in qualifying. Last chance consolation. And now, he's up in the top 10, chasing down Clint Spillman with a vengeance. We'll see whether or not he's able to clear the driver of that Ford machine in just a moment's time. If he's not able to do so, he still has a lot of strategy to rely on, and that Scott Wheeler machinery is great with strategy. How about James McKee in the 4th position right now? Facing on with Chad Winstead as Brad Kress has fallen back just a bit. Winstead holding on in the midst of the blacktop madness. They are 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th. And he's in the middle of all 4 of their drivers. Very impressive for the driver of that 10 machine. And looking to do just a bit more as the day goes on. 37 laps through. We're almost down to 100 laps to go. And that might not sound long, but it is very long in terms of the track's distance. When it comes to timing, it's going to be much shorter than you might believe at first. Go Bolts, Ramhurt, my apologies, Ramarays, and that's 93 Puggy coming into the chat, and thank you for stopping by. We hope you enjoy the show here tonight. They're side by side, Brooks and Bloom. That's the 23 and 3 machines respectively, making a great run, both of them are. It's Bloom and Brooks side by side once more, with Clint Spillman just behind him. 39 laps through out of 140 in total. And you can see the variety of lines are being ran here at Bristol. Some guys running the high line out of preference, some guys running the low. Nonetheless, Clint Spillman gonna take a little bit of a peek off the racetrack, and that might be a warning of the strategy that's gonna be played up soon. He's gonna let the driver of the 23 machine go as Brad Kress gonna be side by side with Adam Bozzi for just a moment. Bozzi gets him nonetheless. Now under 100 laps to go here at Bristol. The last great Coliseum. Kendall Kerr gonna come to the start finish line in just a moment as Alan Koopman is chasing him down under lap traffic. This is when lap traffic comes into play, and when it comes into play, it's especially important. You gotta watch out, place yourself right, and you're either gonna come out with a major advantage in your position or a major disadvantage. So a guy like Kendall Kerr's got to watch out right now. Alan Koopman on his back, a fast driver, and a teammate who's going to race you fair, but he's going to race you for position nonetheless. And it looks like it's going to be Dalton Beer going down a lap this time by from the top 5 down to 16. Not the best start for Dalton Beer. Still a lot of time to recover, and you can see that Alan Koopman is on the tail of his teammate right now. Koopman now within a 10.5, now within a 1/10 of a second, and they're going to be just about dead even for a moment, bumper to rear end, but not side by side just yet with 95 laps to go. These two guys are dominating the field right now, and they are putting on a great show while they are at it. Alan Koopman going to regroup and readdress the situation at hand. The 8 machine got very close to the lead for the first time tonight since the start of it. As your pole sitter, it's the front row dominating all the way. Chad Winstead side by side with James McKee. This is for position number 3. The 9 and the 10 respectively. Gonna watch as Chad Winstead goes around, and it was a very simple pass on the high side there. The momentum carried him through, and James McKee gonna have to settle for 4th just for now. And how about Roberto Mir is getting back into the top 10, fighting with Scott Wheeler and Terry Brooks on pace looks like the dominating run for Scott Wheeler not going to happen here tonight with 92 laps to go. You're always human, and you always have the potential to make mistakes. Not everyone is perfect, but Scott Wheeler in the top 10 has made him an awful lot of points compared to his worst-case scenario of bowing out in the last chance qualifier. And as a result, this is going to be a great night for him in comparison to what it could have been, but he certainly is going to hope for much more. He's a racer, he wants to win, and he knows that he's a winner week in, week out, but this might just be the week he's out of victory lane. We'll find out. Still a lot of time to go, as it's a 51 lap stint, the longest we have seen all race. Tires, they said they were getting about worn out by this point. We'll see whether or not that is true, whether or not that was just talking. We'll see whether or not it could intimidate some of these guys who know that tires do wear, but if they wear that much, who knows? You might just see alternative strategies. 52 laps in, 88 laps to go side by side. Brad Kress and Austin Bloom are with Dalton Beer. It's a double file ordeal, 2 rows deep. Let's watch on board with Brad Kress, who just backs out of it for just a moment. Side by side, as Clint Spillman not on the screen, and it looks like he's going to get by Dalton Beer once more. With Clint Spillman just ahead now, facing off against Austin Bloom in the 6th position. Very consistent night for Austin Bloom, keeping it up in that top 5 fringe area. As a result, pushing to the fullest. The driver of that 3 machine is Adebazi. Still rounds out your top 5 with Chad Winstead in 4th. Here's McKee in 3rd, getting by Winstead. Adebazi on the way. You could get some parity in that top 5, or perhaps the top 3 if Bazi has just enough pace. Perhaps catch Jason Key or more drivers, including, of course, Alan Kuhlman and Kendall Kerr, who are dominating this one. 57 laps through. They're put together one incredible show. Brad Kress could have one driver to his inside. That's Roberto Ramirez. And double file action at Bristol has not led to an incident just yet, and we are at the 58 lap marker. 83 laps to go. We're almost at halfway, and we've been going through this one in such a quick fashion. We might just end it off before 11 o'clock on the Eastern Seaboard. We'll wait, we'll see. It's been a great race so far, and the battle for lead is intensifying. Alan Kuhlman now just about within the 10th. And with Kuhlman on his way once again, this might be the moment for him to think about whether or not he's able to make the move now, or if he just saves his time, bides it, and runs in the back of Kendall Kerr, and perhaps intimidates him into a maneuver that is not optimal for either of them. But it might just be worth it for Kuhlman at the end of the day. We'll find out. The Blacktop Racing teammates are patting the top 3 as Alan Kuhlman goes to the inside line, not able to make anything stick that time by. Maybe he's got it in a few turns time. We will find out. 79 laps to go. Kendall Kerr gonna drift up to the high side. He's gonna take away the line on the front and back straightaway by doing just that. A very right move from the driver of the 21 machine. With Alan Kuhlman still watching and learning as his teammate, giving him every opportunity to try to go for it and then taking it away at the last second. Very, very bright racing by both of these drivers. Let's go on board with Alan Kuhlman and see what he's seeing for just about a few laps. Down to the inside, side by side once more. As you can see, getting to the side by side point in the battle ends up being detrimental in the long run if you can't clear him, because Kuhlman washes up, does not have the momentum coming off of the turns, and as a result, the front straightaway or the back straightaway are a little bit weaker compared to when he's alone in the draft of the driver of the 21 machine. And Kendall Kerr giving a lot of draft right now, the fastest drivers on the track by several tenths of a second. And because of that, with Clint Spillman fighting hard with Chad Winstead and Austin Bloom right now, making sure that there's no incident, these two are able to cut a hole through the field that can only be patched up by a lap car. or perhaps a mistake by both of them. Flawless all night so far. We'll see whether or not they continue to be flawless as the night goes on, with 73 laps remaining in the Baadteshop Night Race main event. And look at them go. Down to the inside line, both of them do, as we got Brandon Wenchard in the wall there. It's going to be just about 4 wide, 3 wide now, but it's going to be a top there set by Alan Kuhlman and Kendall Kerr, getting them through the lap cars. Not sure if that was a result of aggression trying to get to the lead or just trying to get them out of the situation, but nonetheless, they're out of it. 72 laps to go. Very close call. And Kuhlman chasing as hard as ever with 71 laps to go. And he's got a lot of time to make his move. Whether or not he chooses to do so right now, it will be a risk. With the lap cars around him, he might just need clean air if he wants to decide to make the move then and there. As you can see, once again, Dalton Beer going to be lapped. And once again, we're going to see Dylan Petit on your screen, but this time he is not in a battle for position, but he is being lapped for the first time. 1 lap down, and he lets the leaders by with ease. And Kendall Kerr, your race leader, at one point had almost a full second advantage over the remainder of the field, including Alan Kuhlman, but now it is down to 1/10 of a second. Now just about 2/10 of a second, but Dalton Beer not giving them any favors. But Kuhlman has the pace to keep up. 68 laps to go. It's no denying that's going to be a race between these two teammates till the tail end of it, as long as we keep this thing green and clean. And the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway stands, everyone is on their feet, as we are seeing quite the incredible battle for the race lead. We're going to try to swap out just a bit, try to find some other battles on the racetrack as well. We'll keep a hawk eye on this one for the lead. Dylan Petit there with Brad Kress, as we have drivers coming down on pit road right now. 75 lap stint, 65 to go. Brad Kress is in, and Roberto Ramirez is in as well. He's back out on track just behind James McKee. Going to cycle out in the 3rd or 4th segment of the pack. And this brings us to our strategy portion of the race. Big time tempers. We might just see him on pit road. We're going to find out whether or not it's going to be a big time strategy race or just get in, get out, and just try to race it through the green flag situation. We're going to find out with 64 laps to go whether or not we see this thing go all the way. But Kendall Kerr and Alan Kuhlman, 78 lap stint. Who's going to catch him? Nobody so far, but there's still a lot of potential to do just that. Just depends on strategy. Strategic decisions are going to have to be made at every moment within a race. As you can see, it's going to be Garrett Sindner with a rocket ship going just by the 2 leaders of this race. And that might serve to be just a bit of a motivator to perhaps come into pit road. They are teammates that might come in at the same time to try to strategize for the optimal performance for the entire team, not just for the individual involved. We'll see whether or not they're able to do so, or if it becomes an individual race even between teammates. With 61 laps to go, Chad Winstead, Clint Spillman just beside one another. Alan Kuhlman and Kendall Kerr, your race leader, they're both clocking away at these laps with ease. It is an almost effortless procedure. How about that? Adam Bozzi in 3rd and James McKee in the 4th spot. Position 3 and 4 respectively, having a great set of runs. They're going to have to think about strategy as well, as they are both 82 laps into their stint, as well as our race leaders, who are both still on each other with 59 laps to go. It's as if this is the last lap. Alan Kuhlman goes bound to the inside once more. They're side by side and barely cleared coming into turns 3 and 4 once more. Looks like Kendall Kerr might be running out of steam when it comes to battling Alan Kuhlman, but he gets him this time by. Still a lot of time to go for Alan Kuhlman to perhaps make a move, perhaps set up a maneuver that puts him in the advantageous spot as the race will go on. It's 57 laps to go here in Bristol, the last great coliseum, and we're seeing some great racing, and hopefully this is not the last of it, as Kendall Kerr is going to be not on the frame now as Caleb Morrissey gets wiggled through by Roberto Ramirez. A little bit tap of the wall for the driver of the 6th machine. Let's watch on board just a moment with the driver of the 21 in Kendall Kerr. As you can see, compromising the line is the name of the game if you want to keep your strategy intact. And that's exactly what Kendall Kerr is doing to Alan Koonman right now. Scott Sellner just behind both of them, not for position tonight. He's just trying to get his lap back following his pit stop. And if he's able to get that back, he's going to have a much better chance at contending for positions later in the race. Thinking ahead, the driver of the 2 machine is, as it looks like the 21 machine is still fighting hard with Alan Koonman, and these two are not giving each other any break as the race goes on. Koonman getting a monster run there. What's he got in store? Nothing so far. We're going to try to get a better angle of that perspective of the rear end, and there we go, getting a little more angular shot. 52 laps to go, and these two won't give each other a break. If you do enjoy the action, be sure to like and subscribe. It means the world. It will help in spreading this league to every single person who's able to watch iRacing events. And if you do that, it supports the league as much as it supports us. It's always greatly appreciated. I thank every single one of you for watching. Without you, there could be no broadcast like this. And we hope that there's no other that matches the standard that we have here at Fireball Talks NASCAR. 50 laps to go nonetheless. And Kendall Kerr's fighting hard with Alan Koonman. It ain't over between these two, that's for certain. Jason McKee seems to not be in third position right now, dropping through 92 laps on his stint. And these guys just won't quit. 49 laps to go. And we're not sure if they're going to go the whole race on one stint. Because it looks like they're acting as if they can. As it looks like the driver of the 21 machine in Brad Crest, the 29 machine there, passing the 21. Going to make the move. And now Alan Koonman is getting an excuse to go to the inside line as his teammate passes him. Nothing. That time by 48 laps to go. We're coming down into territory. It's as long as a heat race. And these two have not settled their differences. Let's see who's going to be the race leader at the tail end of it. We'll wait. We'll see. And a lot of these guys simply have not pitted. Caleb Morrissey in 6th right now, working on Chad Winstead for 5th. As James McKee in 4th. Not able to do much right now. He is in his own world. Adam Bodsey going to get past there by Dalton Beer, who's got a rocket ship with new tires. As Alan Koonman fighting as hard as ever to keep his car in check. As Garrett Sidnor going to pass by with his rocket ship once more. Rocket ship, and that's the way you could determine a new tire car passing the old tire leaders. We've been seeing it an awful lot as the race goes on. MDLXL giving the epic face in chat. Caleb Morrissey having a great night right now. The 6th car in position. Number 6. And Spillman in the 5th spot right now. He's going to go down to 7th for just a moment. As Spillman working on the high side with Caleb Morrissey on the bottom. A very clean fight there in the battle just outside the top 5. 44 laps to go though. Alan Koonman still working on Kendall Kerr. Roberto Ramirez, however, working on Scott Wheeler Jr. Scott Wheeler going to be coming into pit road right now for a 9th position on the racetrack. Last driver in the lead lap. The strategy might not pay off here tonight, unlike his exceptional strategy at Charlotte. And we'll see whether or not that is the case. Coming down for his service right now. Going to be 4 tires and fuel for Kendall Kerr's not teammate, but in fact a championship rival. And Koonman and Kerr, their main championship rival, not having the best of nights here tonight. So it's going to be free game for Alan Koonman and, of course, the driver of the 21 machine when it comes to getting some points back, as it looks like Dylan Petit's going to actually make a block on. Wow, he's going to make a block on Alan Koonman there. That was a block by a lap driver as he's fighting with Brandon Wenchard for position. We'll see whether or not these guys have the pace. It's multiple lap cars. Big force off on the track, and Brandon Wenchard not going to be happy with that one. That could have been your first yellow of the night. We're past lap 100, however. Lap 101 with 40 laps to go. It's getting intense between every single one of these guys. How about that? It ain't over for any of these guys. Alan Koonman now 7/10 of a second back. He's not going to be happy about that. He's going to have to push to the limit as Brandon Wenchard is going to go right by him and going to sail right through Kendall Kerr. And that might reset the battle, if anything. We'll see whether or not it does so. But now, chances are slimmer for Alan Koonman to get that victory overall. Had a very good shot going. He was just there within a few hundredths of seconds multiple times over. But nothing. Through and through. Alan Koonman just going to have to wait and see whether or not it's going to happen. And it looks like Alan Koonman coming down pit road right now. Kendall Kerr still on a 104-lap stint. And let's see if the undercut's going to work for the driver of the 8 machine. And the overcut, we'll see if it works for the driver of the 21. Whether or not it happens, we'll find out. Alan Kuhlman going to drop all the way down to the 10th position right now. And it looks like that's going to be a pretty long stop as Austin Bloom already got 11 laps down. Brad Kress has 29 and Garrett Sinor has 33, so it's going to be easy work so long as Alan Kuhlman keeps it in check with the newest tires in the field. As Kendall Kerr not coming down to pit just yet. Leading the 106th lap, we have our first caution of the night. And this is going to catch a lot of drivers out. 3 drivers on the lead lap. Your first incident involves Colton Gardner. And let's find out what just happened. Gardner coming off of the high side, going into the turns once again. And it appears got to a Clint Spillman there, wrecks them. They both get involved in major damage. Spillman stuck on the racing surface, and that's what brings out the yellow. Able to back it down and get it back under control. Colton Gardner, no control. It appears maybe an axle broken. He gets back at it. And it may be, at the end of the day, he's going to have to pit it because it looks like right now he is 6 laps down, but still driving for the driver, that 17 machine in Colton Gardner. Adam Bossier, race leader. We're going to cut to a quick message for those who are not here for the beginning of the race. We are going to present the Highline Racing League HighPoint Premier Series trailer. If you're interested in this series and you want to learn more, here's a quick video created by one of the best in the business and graphic design in this group. We got to thank them for making it. Brad Kress edited this one together. We hope you enjoy it. A quick presentation. We hope that you enjoy the presentation as much as we do. Sending it to Fireball Talks Nonstop. We hope you enjoy. And we hope you enjoyed that one. A quick presentation from the Highline Racing League. 30 laps to go here in Bristol. And the Kendall Kerr machine is in the perfect spot in terms of strategy. Working out very well. Casey Hesher coming in the chat, and thank you for stopping by, providing support. And it's going to be a great one to watch. Your fan favorites, they're still in this one. Be sure to shout them out, and we'll see whether or not they're going to be able to get this one done in style. Extended yellow. We've got an extended yellow on the racetrack right now, 29 laps to go. Looks like some guys might be able to get their laps back. I'm not sure, because the last driver on the lead lap is in 8th right now, and Alan Kuhlman, and that's an 8-car total on the lead lap. 29 laps to go. How about that? And not sure if they're going to allow the drivers to go on like that, because Terry Brooks still on his way, it appears. Although that is not the case. Kendall Kerr still leading those lap cars through. They're most likely going to be given the opportunity to get by. And it looks like they are not. No, this is not the case. And still, Roberto Ramirez, Kendall Kerr side by side. And we only now have 8 lead lap cars. With 28 laps left, it's going to get very interesting from here on out. Let's find out what goes on. 28 laps to settle the show here in Bristol. The last great coliseum. Let's find out what these guys have in store. Double file. Going to be a challenge to get through these lapped drivers, but nonetheless, that's the way it works. Roberto Ramirez, Kendall Kerr. We went 113 laps without a caution. Let's see if we can go the rest of it without one.
Green flag,
In
green
addition,
flag.
Kendall Kerr is going to go big time there. Green flag in the first reset of the night. And everyone's going to have to get through here. It's a mix of lap cars and a lead lap cars. We're going to send you a wide angle shot. Alan Kunman caught in the mix of it. And that's going to be detrimental to him. And did Adam have to pit twice there? Adam Bozzi, I believe you're asking about. I'm not sure.
The yellow flag.
And we
is
have
out.
another yellow. Terry Brooks involved. Cautions, breeding, cautions. Big time stack up. Wow. And we're going to check on this first. My apologies there. Caution came out. Let's find out what just happened. 26 laps to go. We're going to get a good majority of this race clean and green. And Terry Brooks seems to have gotten involved in an incident. Wiggles it high. Does not snap it loose until the front straightaway. Comes back up on the racetrack, hits James McKee, and then it's going to be Clint Simon getting involved, then Brandon Wencher, then Colton Gardner. And coming back down on the racetrack, nobody else involved. That is the extent of the damage with 25 remaining. Alan Kunman up to fourth now, and a lot of lap cars going to be going through. This is going to be resetting the playing field in its entirety. With 24 laps left, a reset of the playing field is what a lot of these guys need, especially given the amount of points on the table here in the championship hunt. Scott Wheeler in 10th position, still ready to turn it up 100%. He's able to do so. He might just have a chance of getting yet another top 5. We'll find out. The race is far from over for a lot of these guys. Scott Wheeler looks to be one of the lap cars, however, who is not going to be taken through. A lot of lap drivers now. Still at least one lap down, and they're separating those lead lap guys by a major margin. And it changes all of this 100%. Kendall Kerr, Roberto Ramirez, Austin Bloom, and Alan Kunman first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Scott Zellner and Adam Bozzi rounds out your top 6 in the 27 machine. Caleb Morrissey in 7th, Brad Kress 8th, Garrett Sidnor in 9th, and Scott Wheeler finishing off the top 10 at the moment. 23 laps left to settle this race. And go Zellner, number 2. Thank you for the chat, Shelly Babinchak, and Scott Zellner having a great night here tonight. He is in the top 5 with a freaky fast number 2 machine for Jimmy Johns. A great performance being put up there for the driver of the 2 machine, looking for win number 11 on the career and looking for a second win of the season. He's still got a great chance at it with 22 laps remaining. We'll see whether or not he's able to pull it off. We're going to have to just wait and find out. As it stands, still a single file period as we still have a lot of drivers trying to get their laps back. I believe that's what's going on, as Caleb Morrissey is actually now down on pit road as the choose rule is in effect. Now it's going to be 1 lap to green from here. The pace truck, and rather the pace car, not in frame right now, but these guys are getting ready to choose for perhaps the final time tonight. Second caution of the night. And it took us over 110 laps to get to our first. Now we got to our second within 10. Very unfortunate circumstance there. But either way, we're looking forward to some great racing to finish this one off. Let's see what they've all got in store for us as the night. It's still young with 21 laps to go. Still a lot of time for these guys to decide the finishing order of this race. Well, let's see who's got the best equipment to handle the final 21 lap dash. It's going to be a great one to watch. The iRacing pace car going to come down on pit road once again, and now it's going to be led by Kendall Kerr. We are green once more, and this time it's your second caution of the night. 20 laps to do it. It's going to be a mad dash here in Bristol, Tennessee. Line down to the inside line. It's Alan Kunman now half a second away as Brad Kress and Scott Zellner are double file. But the battle for the lead is in effect, and it is pushing to the fullest. Look at Roberto Ramirez going for it this time by. He's got newer tires than Alan Kunman. And side by side for a second. Yes, they are. And they are moving. How about it? Side by side, double file. This is for the second position, but Roberto Ramirez looking for his second victory in a row. Whether or not he's able to get that one done, we will find out. Because Roberto Ramirez getting that slingshot time after time might just put him in the position to get yet another win. Kendall Kerr watching and waiting as the 42 has a new sense of life. Taking so long to get it, but he's got it at the right time. And now it's going to be a three-man battle for the victory with Alan Koopman slowly but surely fading back. Let's get the onboard shot from the driver of the 8 machine. And you can see it's a three-car joust right now. Roberto Ramirez on the inside there, and we're going to try to get a rear view shot that shows him. Big tap in the wall, and looks like Kendall Kerr going to get very squirrely as well. Going to cause everyone to get reshuffled as Roberto Ramirez just to the side of Alan Koopman. Kendall Kerr right in front, and Koopman waiting. See whether or not he's got anything for him. Roberto Ramirez looks to be falling off just a bit right now, but you can't tell at all. 13 laps to go on the horizon, and we have just hit it. We've got just about a baker's dozen worth of laps. Get this one set. And Koopman has some damage, but it's not going to stop him. Because now it's all about getting to that checkered flag, no matter what. And it looks like right now building up just a bit of a gap. For the first time in quite some time, 11 laps to go. Alan Koopman looking to make something happen. He's got to think about it. It's going to take quite a while to decide what he has in store. It looks like now we have a battle for third position in Adam Bozzi and Alan Koopman. Now Roberto Ramirez. As Ramirez fading back into the lower echelon of the main pack. Maybe going to be passed for third by Bozzi. As Austin Bloom in fifth right now with Brad Kress in position number 6. Commander of the field is a majoritively single file. 9 laps to go to settle it. Looks like Kendall Kerr running away with it right now, but Alan Koopman still has a little bit up his sleeve with a 5-lap over set of tires. It'll be a bit more complicated if he wants to keep it going. Roberto Ramirez in third position being hounded there by Adam Bozzi. Side by side, double file once again. Big run there from the 27 machine. 8 laps left. It's now or never, basically. And he's going to get him that time by. It is a now new driver in the third position. It is Bozzi to the point. Austin Bloom in the 5th position, and now down to the 6th, and now almost down to the 7th as he scrapes the wall almost 3 wide. Adam Bozzi going to make a little bit of a touch out of frame. Brad Kress going to make a similar maneuver there with the outsell to 29 machine. As Austin Bloom having a little bit of a hassle getting himself off of the wall. Looks to be glued to it right now with 5 laps left in this race. Zellner looking for that top 5 spot. Roberto Ramirez fading back fast. Last chance effort looks to be working well. Not well enough, perhaps, as it looks like he's going to be chased away by Brad Kress and Scott Zellner to conclude this night of action. Adam Bozzi right now third, and he's getting on to Alan Koopman. This is for the runner-up spot. A lot of points in the championship. If Alan Koopman can hold on, it looks like Adam Bozzi is not going to be able to hold on. He gets really squirrely, and 3 laps to go. The battle resets once more. It's now, it's never. Let's find out who's got it at the tail end of it. Kendall Kerr coming to 2 laps to go. Brad Kress fighting hard with Roberto Ramirez and Scott Zellner right now. Adam Bozzi, nonetheless, is still fighting with Alan Koopman like it's the last lap. And you know it's 2 laps to go. You got to be as intense as what you got. And it looks to be, it ain't over till it's over. Kendall Kerr, 1 lap to go. And now it's going to be Koopman and Bozzi. Bozzi down to the inside line. We're going to try to set the wide camera to get every single battle in motion. They're side by side, double file, but Kendall Kerr is going to come across the line. He will win the Body Shop Night Race at Bristol. And Alan Koopman at the line's going to get it over. Adam Bozzi, Brad Kress gets it just barely by 5 thousandths of a second over Roberto Ramirez. Wow! Multiple finishes within thousandths of a second. And let's get an instant replay. Try to get every single finish at once. Kendall Kerr getting it done in style, and we had 2 photo finishes consecutively. First, Alan Goodman getting it done by 38 thousandths of a second. Then Brad Kress getting it done by 5 thousandths of a second. Incredible job. But Kendall Kerr is your race winner. And that's all in this race. Time for Kendall Kerr to celebrate. And what a victory that was. Getting it done in style, dominating fashion. When he got out front, he was gone, and only one driver could keep up with him, and that was his teammate. Wow. Rightfully so, burning it down right at the start-finish line. He's going to get there. The celebration is on for Kendall Kerr, a dominating victory. And now parked and looks to be beached. Although he's going to run it back once more. And in front of every fan in the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway, he's going to burn down once more. It's going to be a smoke show in Tennessee. And it looks like, nonetheless, the victor at the end of the day, the driver of the 21 machine in Kendall Kerr. How are you feeling after that incredible performance? Domination throughout the entire race. And what a show. How do you feel?
Man, it didn't feel like domination. It felt like Alan was faster than me on that long run forever and ever, and just couldn't get the lap cars to quite fall his way. And then just got really, really lucky with the timing of that caution there at the end. I never thought we were going to be pitting under green at Bristol, but that's a hats off to all the guys in this league and how clean they run to get 115 or whatever laps it was green flag at Bristol.
Absolutely, strategy ended up playing a factor, and it looks like your strategy was just about perfect, getting out just a few laps before the caution and cycling back up front. Is that the make or break moment for this race?
Well, honestly, I just stayed out. I had never pitted. I was thinking Roberto had the race-winning strategy. I think if we didn't have a yellow, Roberto was going to win that race. So it was really interesting how it played out. We had enough fuel to the end. I think I was fine on tires, but just in sheer lap time, the 42 would have got by us before the end of that thing. So got really lucky with the way that the cautions fell, and then fortunately was able to hold them off there at the end.
Absolutely holding them off at the end of the day. Lap traffic played a very important role tonight in that final restart. We didn't see much of it. So how different was it running without lap traffic compared to running with lap traffic in the battle for the lead?
I'll tell you what was the biggest difference was going from those extremely old tires to the brand new ones. I almost forgot how to drive them whenever we, went green there again. They're 2 seconds faster with the freshies. So, man, I was a little bit worried. I was hoping they would wear a little bit. Thankfully, they did. I knew I was able to hold the top pretty well. But, man, I can't believe it. Everything just fell in our lap tonight.
Absolutely, and this is the halfway point of the season, looking to get some championship momentum. How are you feeling going into the second half of this title hunt?
I'm still figuring out this car. I like the Xfinity car a lot better. It drives. I just have got to work on saving tires. Wheeler and Allen are, I think, the two best in the field week in and week out. Now, next week when we go to Mid-Ohio, I think the 42 will win, but. Yeah, we'll see. I got a lot of good tracks coming up. We've, of course, got the wild card of Atlanta, which is essentially a superspeedway race. So got to dodge that one. Hopefully I can finish, 10th at Mid-Ohio. I'd be happy with that. But the Homesteads, the Iowas of the world, any track that you can run the top, I'm going to be very happy at. So we'll see.
We're going to continue the ripping of the high line as we get into the second half of the season. Kendall Kerr getting it done in style here at Bristol. Thank you for your time. Any final thoughts?
Oh, just thanks you guys for week in and week out putting on a great show. We appreciate it. Want to thank Baadteshop for being the title sponsor of the race. Of course, ASC Supply and Services. They've been a good partner this season. Couldn't do it without SP Designs, Racing Warehouse, Ready Foundation. and everybody that helps make this league go, all the competitors that show up each week. Just appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you once again for your time.
You bet.
And we're going to drag Kendall Kerr back into his voice chat. And now we're going to get the thoughts from the driver who finished second here tonight. Alan Koeman, how you feeling going throughout that entire race?
Oh, pretty good. I was surprised that it went green as long as it did, and surprised that I was able to keep up with Kendall. He was bad fast, pretty much from the drop of the green flag. So overall, I thought it was a good race compared to our previous Bristol races.
And absolutely a very good race, a very long run. It looks like strategy ended up playing the difference in how a majority of the race went until that final restart. And how was it going through that different strategy compared to your teammate?
I was a little irritated at first because it seems to always happen to me when I pit during a green flag cycle, and then a caution comes out. Lucky enough, I was able to take the wave around, and then we had another quick caution, and that put me back up front with all the lead lap cars, and think we were able to go from like 5th to 2nd there at the end, so it worked out.
Absolutely, it did indeed work out. Now, we got the second half of the season on our way. How are you feeling going into next week, which I believe is Mid-Ohio, and of course, the remainder of the championship race?
It's going to be a challenge. I've only ever ran one race at Mid-Ohio, and that was in like GT3 cars. So I've got a good idea of the layout of the track. But as long as we can keep all 4 tires on the pavement next week like we did last week at Sonoma, I think we'll have a good run.
Absolutely, and this time by getting a great run for the driver, the 8 machine, Alan Koeman, second place tonight. Any final thoughts?
Just overall a good race. Can't wait to get back to it next week and finish out the season strong. Hopefully, grab a couple more wins this season.
Absolutely. Thank you once again for your time.
Yep.
And now we're going to get the thoughts from the driver of the 27 machine, Adam Bozzi, who is still awaiting in the final driver in the podium tonight, a photo finish for second. How are you feeling after that one?
Say, it's a rough night. I wish I would have lost it in the heat race there. If I didn't lose it in the heat race, who knows where we would have been. We probably would have been the first car across the stripe instead of the third. So,
well, absolutely seems nonetheless able to make a great recovery run throughout it. How was the strategy affected following the heat races not going your way?
I don't think the strategy was really affected. I knew I was fast. I think more so than anything, it's you just had to come out swinging in the heat races or in the last chance qualifier, and then I knew I had to get a move on too early in the run, because if I didn't, the leaders were going to be right there on my backside, and you risk going a lap down really easily. So just played it aggressive, probably a little more than I wanted to, and if I raced anybody harder than I normally do and roughed up a couple of feathers, that's my apologies, but I also know, we needed to go, so.
Absolutely, getting it done when it was needed most. Getting up to the podium positions now, we have several races behind us. The first half is in the books. The second half is on its way. How are you feeling going to the remainder of the season?
Sonoma was not a good race, and there were a couple of races this season that were just god-awful for me, so I'm happy to put those behind us. There's a couple tracks coming up here that I'm really looking forward to. New Hampshire being one of them, Iowa being one of them, Homestead being one of them, running up against the fence there like I was doing here tonight. I think this back half of the schedule is going to be really fun for me.
Absolutely. Well, looking to suit your best abilities in the simulator, but tonight, looking to show that off just a bit early. Adam Bozzi, 6th race of the year, just about the halfway point, and looking forward to the rest of it. Any final thoughts?
No, just thank you for all the stuff you're doing for this league. This is a huge help and a lot of fun to go watch this one back. So,
absolutely. Thank you once again for your time. And that is going to conclude our podium procedure for tonight's event. Now we're going to go through and run out our finishing results. Let's see where everyone finished And let's see where everyone's stacked up at the tail end of this one. Kendall Kerr, as stated beforehand, he is your winner in that 21 machine and put together a great race while he was at it. Kendall Kerr, your race winner over pole sitter Alan Kumman. Then it was Adam Bozzi, who was in the final four. Then Brad Crest, final four in qualifying, meaning he was the back half, not the final four up front. Then we got Brad Crest, Roberto Ramirez, Scott Zellner, Austin Bloom, Garrett Sidnor, Caleb Morrissey, and rounding at the top 10 is James McKee, one lap down. Then it's Chad Winstead, Scott Wheeler, Dylan Petit, Clint Spillman, and Dalton Beer all caught on the racetrack several laps down. Then Terry Brooks, Brandon Wenjard, Colton Gardner, and finally the early retirements of Matthew Rodriguez and Jacob Halm. Then the drivers who did not qualify for this event are not shown. Unfortunately, they do not count for this main event. And that concludes our night of racing. We hope you enjoyed the presentations we had on display tonight. It was a great night of racing. Thank every single one of you coming into the chat. 93 Puggy, MDLXL, and every other member of the chat tonight. Greatly appreciated. Lazard as well. Thank you all for stopping by, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's events. And we hope to continue to bring these as much as we can. Wednesday, we'll be back with the FORL Cup Series as we were yesterday. And of course, we'll be back Thursday nights with IORA and the Highline Racing League. Look out for that. Thank you all for watching once again, and we hope you have a great night.